Alright, today I have to do another vlog or vlog or whatever it's called. I don't know how you pronounce that exactly. Because I wanted to upload a video to my channel, my main channel, my Warrior Habits channel. And I had this concept that I wanted to talk about, but I've spent the last maybe 45 minutes to an hour just fleshing this thing over in my head. And I just can't get clear enough on the concept. And I know that if I'm not clear enough in my own head about this concept, then I won't have any chance of communicating this very well to my audience. So I'm taking the chance to try and explain this in my vlog first, and then tomorrow I'm going to try and hopefully nail this for the main Warrior Habits channel. So the concept that I'm thinking about, and the concept that I think is very important, I noticed that I've been applying this to my life without actually realizing it, is the concept of executing cleanly. So it comes from the idea that our willpower is very, very valuable to us because it's finite, and if we run out of willpower, then we're in a bit of trouble really, because we won't be able to have much self-control and we won't be able to do hard things that we want to do. And this is especially true of habit formation. If we're trying to instill a habit that's initially pretty hard for us to do, we need to keep our willpower reserves in check. And one way we can do that is by spreading out the events in our day that require willpower. One particular way willpower can be drained is by decisions. There's something called decision fatigue, and that kicks in every time you make a decision. Basically, no decision is cost-free, it always comes at a cost. Some decisions cost more than others in terms of willpower, but every decision is pretty much a drain on our willpower. And when I talk about execute cleanly, I'm talking about separating decisions from doing. So decisions drain willpower, but also doing hard things, things that require effort, things that we think are difficult, also requires willpower. So the concept is that you should separate the two. And I think this is much clearer by example. So let's say you're an article writer, and each day you want to write something on your blog. So there's one way you could do this. One way is that each day you sit down at your desk and then you spend the first 10 to 15 minutes thinking about what content you want to write, thinking about the direction that you want the blog to go in, thinking about the strategy, that kind of stuff. And then after those 15-20 minutes, or however long it takes, you then have a title, and then you can start writing. The problem with this, and this is why I came up with this concept of execute cleanly, is that before you even started writing, which you know takes willpower, you've just spent 20 minutes depleting your willpower already, making all these difficult decisions about the strategy of your blog and what kind of content you want to put on there and that kind of stuff. And if you think about it, that's unnecessary, because you can split those two things up and you probably make better decisions and you probably write better. Because what you've done essentially by batching those two things together is double the willpower that you need to do your daily writing, because you have to make all these decisions which drain your willpower, and then you have to do all this writing which drains your willpower. A better approach, I think, is to separate the strategy so that, I don't know, let's say on the weekends you sit down and for an hour you strategize about what content you want on your blog. And then when it comes to writing on weekdays, Monday to Friday, when you sit down, you know exactly what topic you're writing about. You know exactly what your title is. And all you need to do is just focus on that and start writing. That's going to have way less effect on your willpower levels, which is what we're trying to protect. I think another example of this would be me with my videos. So before I step in front of the camera, I should have all the decisions made so I can just execute cleanly. All the strategic content, structure of video type decisions should all be done before I step in front of the camera and I just execute. I just execute on those decisions. So I know what content I'm going to talk about, I know what points I want to make, that kind of stuff. Or if you're a dieter, the moment you go into the kitchen, you're about to cook a meal, you should already know what you're going to be cooking, whether you've got the ingredients and that kind of stuff. All the strategy has been done in advance. You've separated that up. And this is a concept that I've started to apply a few months ago, because I realized that I was more effective like this, but I didn't realize why. But now, having learnt about decision fatigue, willpower, and what affects it, I think this is probably the main reason why. So the main point here is that if you have something that you know is going to take some willpower, going to take some self-control for you to do on a regular basis, then separate the decision making, separate the strategy from the actual doing itself. So that when you sit down, or when you go to the gym, or when you cook a meal, or when you record a video, you can just execute cleanly, requiring less willpower, and increase your chances of seeing it through.